What do you think Nicola Sturgeon does now?
Well, she's going to go around the country in the camper van, go island hopping. Well, she was, but the ferries are goosed, so she'll probably go dogging on the North Coast 500.
Hello and welcome to the Glesga podcast. Coming up this week.
Nicola Sturgeon's got a podcast.
Aye, live for the camper van it's called. No, it's not really.
It should be easy to get rid of the greens, because when you say, oh, on your bike, well, they've all got bikes. I mean...
So who would you vote for in the next election?
Well, as you know, for a bit of a laugh, I drew a big cock on the ballot paper and accidentally voted for Douglas Ross.
And all that's still to come, but we're talking about the SNP and everything that's been going on.
The Scottish nose pickers, the Scottish National Party, they are indeed in disarray. I mean, how many people can you get in a camper van? That remains to be seen.
Well, 7, it'll be number 7, John Swinney is coming into the driving seat of the camper van.
So what Humza's done, he's done a very Scottish thing. We're all told as children, you need a balanced meal, right? You have your meat, you have potatoes, and you need your greens. You need to eat your greens. But what he's done, he's dispensed with the greens. He's just got meat and totties now. Now, you've got your Labour Party, you've got your red sauce with the Labour Party, and you've got the mustard, the yellow mustard with the SNP, and you've got a big splash of the Tories, brown, big shower of shite, brown sauce. That's what we're left with. We're going to fucking eat it. We're all going to end up with rickets again. So Swinney, aye, so he's going to be the next First Minister.
John Swinney's done a deal with Kate Forbes and he said he's offered her a significant role.
What she doesn't know is it's a rolling sausage. We Humza was only in a year.
Aye.
Wasn't even a year.
I know.
Was it a year? But he bounced the Greens, and I think it was the way he done it. You know what I mean? And because it should actually theoretically be easy to get rid of the Greens, because when you say, oh, on your bike, well, they've all got bikes. I mean, it's a no-brainer. But they were pretty upset about getting bounced.
Aye, because it was a 2030 climate change target, 75%.
Well, what was the target?
So by 2030 we would be 75% less carbon emissions.
Well, but that's easy enough. Just one day in 2030, turn everything off. Don't go anywhere. Just tell everybody to stay in their house. Don't go out. Don't fart. Turn the heating off. Turn everything off. And then you'll see the carbon emissions for one day.
Aye, get the kettle off.
I'd have another lockdown.
Well, potentially we could have met it then.
I don't know about that. But anyway, we Humza, he upset the Greens. And that was him. He was going to get a vote of no confidence. So he jumped. He jumped before he was pushed.
He did, but he outlived the lettuce. It was all over this target that the reason he went is they weren't going to hit their target. And the lassie that's the energy, no, the lassie, that sounded, well, aye, she's a lassie. The woman that, the energy minister.
Was she the Green Party person or no?
No, she's SNP, she's Mary McCallum. She's for
Right.
bigger. She's for bigger. She's Mary.
Oh, is she, right? You're MSP?
She's my MSP. Because I've seen her out at the pub for her dinner, Sunday lunch.
Does the waiter ask her, would you like greens with that, madam? And she go, no, this week. And does she had surgeries? And do you go in and tell her what's what?
I don't know.
You say, you're the energy minister. Here's my light bill. My standing charges have went from 27 pence to 60 pence a day. What are you going to do about it? And she'll go, oh, well, we're obviously very concerned to hear that, but I'll look into it. And then you never hear from her again. That's what politicians are. They tell you what you want to hear. Nothing ever gets done, man.
What do you think of John Swinney? Do you think he'll be good?
He wasn't very good before. I mean, he's not got any charisma. He's not a very charismatic guy. At least Alex Salmon, for all his faults, and Nicola Sturgeon, they were able to, you know, get people and rile them up. But Swinney goes, come on, are you with me? Nah.
Because you can imagine Nicola Sturgeon bursting into a party and telling all the wains to get out, but John Swinney's just not doing that, is he?
No. Nah, he would get ganged up on and get battered off all the wains. He's just no get. But I don't think there seems to me to be anybody who is obviously a leader, right? I think Nicola Sturgeon was a leader. She could get people on side. She seemed to be, be able to harness an audience. I don't think there's anybody who does that. Or they're either there's nothing to them, or they're mental.
Can't be as bad as Donald Dewar though. He died in 2002, I think it was.
Donald Dewar? He did? I'm sure I walked past him the other week in Buchanan Street. Does he even know he's got birdshite in his jacket? Was he the first minister?
He was the first minister. You go through them, do you know? So he was.
Well,
the
it was
first
him. It was Jack McConnell.
It was Henry McLeish.
Henry McLeish.
No, it was Henry McLeish before Jack McConnell, was it?
No, it was Jack McConnell, then Henry McLeish.
Do you remember Henry McLeish?
Ah, of course I do. I've still got one of his hoovers. I did a dinner up at East Fife, and Henry McLeish was kind of on the top table. And this was after he'd been First Minister. So he'd been First Minister of Scotland, now he's doing football dinners at East Fife. But it turns out he used to play for East Fife.
No, you're thinking of the guy for Dunfermline that was...
No, that's Jim Leishman.
Oh, that's Jim Leishman.
He played for Dunfermline. No, but Henry McLeish played for East Fife. You don't want a First Minister used to getting fucked every week, right? So it'd be better if he played for one of the big teams like Motherwell, right? So you don't want to have somebody who knows failure. And somebody who plays for East Fife is no stranger to failure, right? So there was Dewar, McConnell, McLeish, and then Salmond upset that he ran with a minority government. And then was it Sturgeon?
Then it was... No, I think it was Swinney, wasn't it?
Aye, and he was a disaster. That's right, and now he's back.
2000 to 2004.
I don't remember, I was really drinking then.
He said in a podcast, with Nicola Sturgeon's podcast, he said that he wanted...
Nicola Sturgeon's got a podcast?
Aye, she's got a podcast.
Tune in to Nicola Sturgeon's podcast, people. Has she got a podcast?
Aye.
What does she talk about?
Life for the Camper Van, it's called. No, it's not really. No, I think she just has guests on and stuff.
Tales from a dogging site.
Tales from a tent in my garden. But I think, basically, he always wanted it. He constantly...
Who always wanted to do it?
John Swinney.
Wanted to do
he
it
wanted
what?
to do it to government.
Oh, right, I thought you meant out of the camper van.
No.
Right, was he locked in it?
He was locked in.
Chained to the bed?
And she kept persuading him to come back. So it looks bad, didn't it, that he wanted out of government and all of a sudden he's
I know, because
did
he not say, I'd rather spend more time with my family?
Aye.
But clearly his family are going, even we don't want you, John. Away back into government.
Yeah, that's what you say to folk now. I'd rather spend less time with my family and you ended up doing this.
It's different. I mean, my family's a pain in the arse, right? And anybody spends time with... Anyway, neither here nor there. So, Swinney's the new man. Do you think he'll harness the voters? Do you think he'll be a rallying cry? Or do you think that the independence dream is over?
Well, he's got 40 years experience, so he's an experienced man, isn't he? He's pro-independence. But
Well, of course he's in the SNP.
But I can't.
Why would you be in the SNP and no before independence? It's their biggest issue.
It is, but is it going to happen? Is it going to be allowed to happen?
Well, that's the 64,000 Scottish pounds question, isn't it? Will it ever happen? Here's the thing about independence. I can see both sides of the argument, right? If anybody thinks that Scotland cannot subsist or even thrive as an independent nation, I say to them, pish. Scotland would be immensely successful on its own. Look at what Scotland's given the world in terms of engineering and technology, medical, communications. We've given so much to the world, right? So I don't believe when anybody says to me Scotland wouldn't make it on its own, and that's the argument against independence. Pish, total pish. Scotland would be immensely successful on its own. But the other side, we saw what happened with Brexit. Britain voted to leave the European Union. You had so many advantages of being in the European Union. You're part of a massive trading bloc, and anybody who thinks that when you come out of that and try and write your own rules and still try to coexist, to think that you won't make things more difficult for yourself is fucking mental. Is mental. Did the people who were pro-Brexit honestly think we were going to come out of the European Union and have it all our own way? That's fucking mental. That's like you leaving the house. I don't want to live in the house anymore because you reek a pish and I've had enough of your bullshit. I'm going to go in my own house. But by the way, when I come back to this house, I still want it all my own way. Fuck you. Fuck you. I'm changing the locks. You're not even getting in the door. And when you do, you go to pay the price. That's what happened. Will we be successful on our own? No question. Would it be difficult? Yes. Because great things are always difficult. But will it stay the same? Who knows? Who's in charge? They say the people. It's up to the people to change it. And whatever happened, going to happen.
But we did the Scottish thing where when it came to it, we shat our pants.
See, Aldous Huxley, you know, the writer that wrote Brave New World, he said, so long as people have their material comforts and they're not interfered with, they're happy to be ruled. That's what he said. And I think that's pretty true. People only look after themselves and their own family, and that's true. They pay their house, they pay their way, they make sure their kids get the best they can afford and educated and all that, and they try and guide them and see they get a job and they leave school and grow up. And that's pretty much true. And the wider, the bigger picture, they're no terribly interested, as long as they're doing all right. It's only when that kind of becomes threatened. It's only when that becomes threatened do people change their tune, and somebody comes along like Donald Trump or fucking Nigel Farage and says, the government's shafting you, there's a cost of living crisis, you're getting shafted for everything, come and join me. And they go, you've got the answer, because they're acting out of self-interest.
Going back to obviously John Swinney then, the reason he's put himself forward is because he obviously thinks he's just going to walk it.
He's the only option. He's the least shite option. He's not the best. I don't believe he's the best candidate. But, you know, good luck to him. But there's nobody. The SNP have been seriously under pressure for the last few years because they've kind of lost sight of themselves.
Well, let's be honest, they've had more negative press in the last 6 months.
Because they've been arguing about stuff that nobody cares about. This hate crime bill that's been through, that's been really controversial. People hate that. It's bullshit, right? And then all this fucking, they're obsessed with identity politics and all that. They've lost their way. These are not the things that people want. These are not the things that people, if people are interested at all, this is not what people are interested in. People are interested in just how they can have the best opportunities for themselves and their own kind to move forward. A decent funded health service, education, housing, things like that, the economy running the best it can. People aren't interested in all this other fucking pish.
Mm-hmm. But then people would say they're too busy chasing independence. They've dropped the ball with healthcare and education.
Are they too busy chasing independence? I never heard that. I think they were too busy chasing other things. Chasing rainbows, man.
Well, I'm away to park the camper van, and then we'll be back after a short break with some clips from our live shows.
Stop buying a load of shite. Seriously, you don't need it. It's like Christmas. You get fucking all these daft fucking presents. Oh, I need to buy him a present. I need to buy him a present. And you get all this shite that's going to be in landfill by Easter. We're fucking weapons of mass consumption. We're wasting shite.
That's why we woke up on Christmas with fuck all.
But you valued it more. You know, when you put your hand in the soak, and you went, what's that? Oh, it might be an avocado. An orange, son. And I huffed it between you and your sister. Do we like working with each other? I'm going to tell you the truth about this. I drive him fucking crazy. Right. We're very different people. He's very organised. He works like fuck, by the way, all the time. He writes scripts and sends me them. I've never.
I think that's fucking obvious.
But honestly, Stu he's a workaholic.
He's an alcoholic. And remember, you can visit glesgadad.com or click on our bio link for tickets to come and see us live in Glasgow or the Edinburgh Fringe. So the by-elections, obviously in England as well.
Yeah.
And Labour won Blackpool.
Labour won Blackpool. That's the equivalent of putting £1 in one of these grabber machines and winning a jobby.
Talking about everything the SNP.
It's a shame because the SNP are a progressive party. I mean, they're progressive. They're no, you know, they're not obsessed with handing over power to big business and all that. They've done some really good things. They've done that well that the Tories, that's when you know they've done well. The Tories have got back in Scotland, right? And I never thought I would see that. It's like when you do well in life, when you start doing well, doing the right thing, you get a lot of arseholes bad-mouthing you. Because they basically go, hey, what about, who's he think he is? That arsehole, this, that. That's when you know you're doing something right, when people start to hate you. And the SNP have been the same. And as all these forces have gathered around them to try and, well, negate what they're doing or reduce the impact of what they're doing. Because, let's face it, there are some people who you want to stay in the United Kingdom. And that's fair enough. That's the way they see it. But you remember when the Scottish Parliament was first formed, right? Way back, was it 99 or 97, 99? I can't mind.
I think it was 2000.
Do you remember there was a wee load of ultra left wing MPs? Simon, was his name Simon Fox and Rosie Keane and Tommy Sheridan? There was 7 really left-wing MSPs, and they were an essential part of the Parliament, right? Because there was clearly people were voting for these MSPs because they were aligned with their socialist principles. And then I think it was it the 2003 election or what one it was, where, and it had never happened before and it's never happened since, where there was something like 110,000 spoiled ballots. Do you remember that? And the whole counting process got totally fucked up. And 110,000 spoiled ballots. And the outcome was that obviously there was a government formed, but every single one of these wee left-wing MPs were kicked out of the Parliament, were somehow voted out. Now, call me an old conspiracy theorist, right? But if you follow the money, if you follow the power here, it never happened before, and it certainly hasn't never happened since, that these voting machines screwed up. And what was the consequence here? That these wee 7 pains in the arses of democracy were completely cut out of the democratic process. And weirdly enough, never ever got back in.
See,
that's very curious to me.
So you're saying there was 110,000 spoiled ballots?
I mean, you never had 110,000 people went and drew a big cock in a ballot, right? Apart from me and a few others, that's what I do, right? But no 110,000 spoiled ballots. I don't believe it. These 7 MSPs cast out of the Parliament, never be seen again.
Well, Thomas Sheridan was seen again because we've met him.
Well, they're seen again, but they were never seen in the Parliament again. That's the point. They were cast into the political wilderness, never to be seen again.
Do you know who the most crazy Labour leader was in Scotland I ever met?
Who?
Wendy Alexander.
Wendy Alexander. How did you meet her?
So I ran a five-a-side football company at the time.
Right.
And she came.
Could you play a bit?
Aye.
Wee Wendy out in the wing.
Cracking header she scored. But no, she came to launch the league and all that. And somebody kicked the ball and it smashed off the side of her face. And she went mental.
Well,
she went mental.
You would go mental.
But the problem was, in the Daily Record, they had a picture of her, like with the, now when you saw, like,
The ball would mark your cooting.
but the ball was squished. Like, it showed that, do you know when sometimes...
Just at the point of impact.
Aye, so
Oh,
the ball was half squished and her face was like...
Fuck.
And it said, Alexander takes a hit. And she was fuming. And the first thing she done when it happened was says, I hope you never got a photo of that.
I mean, if you get hot in the cooting, full force with a ball, you'd be fucking... You'd be raging, you may be a bit embarrassed, your ego's took a hit. And the one person who I'd love to see get hit with a ball is fucking Douglas Ross.
Oh.
I mean, he's just a pure fanny, right? He's a linesman. Right, they call them assistant referees now. What's amazing, you're at the game, you're at Fir Park, and it's all like, fucking, we hate you, you hate us, get it up, you. And then the minute Douglas Ross comes out to run on the park, everybody hates him. Everybody, the whole grun. It doesn't matter. Celtic and Rangers, boo, we hate you. And the minute Douglas Ross going, fucking boo. He's amazing. He's the great unifier he is.
I didn't realise he'd done, like, Premiership.
Aye. You see him all the time. I
Does
mean,
he run the line?
Aye, he runs the line. Look, I've been loads of games and I've seen him and he comes on and you can't miss him because he's a bit bigger
Bowler hat.
than your average. He's a bit bigger than your average referee because they're all like whippets now. You know, your Uncle Eddie, my brother, is a referee, but he was always a big guy and he never get promoted because he's fit. He'd run right through you, right out of top of you, right? And he'd plenty of stamina, but he looked big. So he never got promoted as a referee. But Douglas Ross, he's no shaped like a modern referee. But he's got he gets the jobs.
It's mad that, isn't it? How you've got a job to sort of serve your constituents and you get a second
I know,
job.
but that's the thing. Why? I mean, already when you're a Tory in Scotland, I mean, Scotland's not got a great relationship with the Tories. Ever since Thatcher, we've hated them, right? So you're already marking yourself out for a bit of trouble. And then you become a referee. I mean... Fair play to the guy. He's clearly very comfortable in his own skin because he's it's very a piss take, but I mean he's despised. No despised, that's maybe too strong. It's a bit of banter, isn't it? He's a pantomime villain.
As you say, he must enjoy it.
I think he must enjoy it. But it's funny when you're at the game and then a decision goes against him, the abuse. The abuse he takes, up for an offside or something.
I wonder, there's not really any other politician that's in the spotlight with a second job like that. Like, you don't see him working in Greg's or anything. I mean,
that's unusual.
I mean, they've all got second jobs. Loads of them.
Aye, they're all, but they've not really got jobs. I mean, they're all on the boards of companies and all that, and they get a wage and they get sorted out and things like that. And, well, I'm not saying anything. It's in the register of interest if you care to look. And, what happens is, these companies have paid them and they buy influence. And so when laws are getting made, legislation's going through Parliament, supposing there's a law going through Parliament to restrict the amount of sugar in foods, and there's an MSP or an MP in Parliament is on the board of a sugar manufacturer, then you could see how that possibly could be a conflict of interest. That's all I'm saying. I'm just going to leave that out there.
Because there was a cash for questions scandal, wasn't there? I think that was under David Cameron's government.
Well, yeah, let's be honest. If somebody's going to come to your door and say, Glasgow, I would like you to ask a wee question for me, please, in Parliament. Here's 15 grand. I would go, thank you very much. What's the question? Fair enough. And then you go up into Parliament and go, hello, and Glesga, and I stand up and go, who's my real fairer? Get it up you and sit back down.
Do you not think that's where politics really changed with the publics, was the expenses scandal?
Some people believe when you get elected, you kind of are in that comp lifestyle. I think the problem with it was there's a clear delineation between what is expenses. You know, you're bringing a prostitute up to your second home to give you a massage to relieve some stress. I don't know. That can legitimately be seen as an expense. Or you buy a duck house. That was the one. It was said at the time, I remember reading about it, they were all shiting themselves because they've been ripping the arse out of it. What's happened was, they basically, all this money's here, it's for your expenses, and they said to them, go and spend it. And they were spending it on any old shite. They were just taking it, they were putting in a receipt. There you go. I've just got a cock extension, putting in the receipt and getting the money back.
Aye. And then they had like their wife doing their admin for them. And
No, but they're allowed to do that, right? Okay, so I think if that's her only job and she's being paid and you're taking a proper account of it, you can have family members do your admin as long as they're doing it. They put in a timesheet, I've done 16 hours this week, and you pay them whatever you pay them, fine. Nobody would argue with that. The difference is there's a clear delineation between what is a genuine expense and what isn't. So if you were away in parliamentary business and you were away in a foreign country and you were in a hotel for 4 days, I don't know, right? Well, that's legitimate, your hotel bill. And I would even say, suppose you drunk 4 bottles of champagne every night and got wasted. Well, maybe when you're in your own house, you drink 4 bottles of champagne in your own house. So you're keeping 2 houses. I would say that's maybe even justified if that's your station in life. You know, if you're a champagne drinker. It's a bit dodgy. That's a bit of a grey area. You could ask a reasonable person, pay for your own champagne, we'll pay for your hotel room, but you're paying for your own champagne and your cocaine and your prostitutes. That's not coming out of parliamentary money.
Because we've got enough of it.
Yeah, well, but that's the problem. They were ripping the arse out of it and they get caught red-handed.
It's a good salary though, isn't it? 90 grand or something.
Oh, 90 grand, massive salary. I mean, it must be a hard job being an MP. You must have to keep abreast of so many things. You're reading constantly all the time. Parliamentary business, you need to keep up to date with everything that's happening as much as possible, not just in the country but in the world. I mean, it must be a hard job. And then you've got fannies like you coming into the constituency going, yeah, what are you going to do about the moss growing out my wall? My next door neighbour, his dog keeps shiting in my garden. And fannies like you coming in talking shite.
That's a big thing in bigger dog shite.
I could imagine.
I was reading Rory Stewart's book and he was saying how 1 minute he'd be sitting in a Cobra meeting and then the next minute a wee woman would be phoning him because her bins never get collected.
That's right. So he's dealing with a terrorist attack in central London and then he's got to deal with this old Bur's wheelie bin. That's what happens.
That's like us walking off stage at the King's Theatre and going to a pub to do a gig in front of 40 folk.
Well, first of all, I don't get to play the King's Theatre, but aye, that would be the same sort of thing. We do a pub gig in front of 40 folk. That's my real level.
If you want to be part of the 40 folk in the audience, come and see us at Blackfriars in Glasgow.
There's less than 40 tickets left.
There is. There's less than 40 tickets left.
Yeah. Fill the camper van and get on down to Blackfriars on the 19th of May.
The 19th of May.
The 19th of May.
Okay, so the ballot is closed. And that's the end of this episode. So remember, please give us 5 stars on all the podcast providers, tell your friends, and come and see us. Click our bio link in any of our socials or visit glesga.com. And before we go, here's a top rated clip from last week. Dad, why are you not answering your phone?
What am I doing the new year, wee fud? Fuck off. All that's left to say is we'll see you next week.
And remember to follow us on YouTube and hit the bell button, because then you find out when we upload a video. And if you liked us, tell all your friends, but if you didn't,
fuck off.